Hi there, I'm Nessy and you're listening to a podcast of The Culture Cafe, originally broadcast on RTE 2XM on Wednesday, October 17th. This features an interview with Mika and it was recorded on the 27th of September 2012 and broadcast on October 17th. Enjoy! Now, I caught up with Mika when he was in Dublin recently. He was telling me that he thinks his career is a little bit weird, but at the same time, his new album, The Origin of Love, was doing really well in several territories around the world. So here's what happened.
My career is weird. God help me. Top 10 Canada, number 1 Quebec, top 10 Belgium, top 10 Switzerland. It's pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
But a long way to go.
But it's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. For week one without a hit single, it's pretty cool. Because that's like, you know...
That doesn't happen very much anymore.
Not anymore. Not anymore, because it's also incredibly single-driven, especially within pop music. Yeah. You know, so it's like, it's my third record, and I do it my way, and I need to be fucking strong.
It's weird because when you mention France, I love France. And when I think of you, one of the first things I think of is France and you, and seeing you on Terra Tata.
Right.
And it's just...
Which I just filmed again last week.
Oh, awesome.
So I think it's showing this week, yeah.
It's a great show. It's really...
one of the best shows in the world. That's why, you know, if you're Muse and you're launching a record, the first TV show they do is Terra Tata. It's massive. We shot it together on the same night last week. And it's massively important.
How do you feel about your album now that it's all done and ready to go out in there?
I'm really proud of it. I love it. I'm really, really proud of it. I think it's insane. It's mad. But it's got... Moments of it are really good, and some moments of it are just crazy good. And I'm happy about it, and I'm happy to be proud of it, because it took a while to get to somewhere where I could make music without any sense of ego or track record, or just with the same kind of delusions or avid desires as an artist who's never made an album before. And I think that was essential, otherwise I wasn't going to make a record. It was either all or nothing for me. It's just this, you know, I allow myself to evolve, which has taken a bit of, you know, it's made it a little harder to promote because people don't want you to change. But now, by word of mouth, the record is starting to really grow, and that is better than anything.
But when you look at your albums over the course of your career, you can see how you've grown as well. When you look at like life's progression, really. Yeah,
you do. You see because I make my own records. I write my own songs. I co-produce every song. Some of them I produce entirely. You see, like, my life. Like I live in my records. I live in my albums. So you see 3 stages of my life. I see 3 stages of my life. Very kind of like very clearly bookended in a weird sort of way. And I think, you know, I'm not like one of those full-on mainstream artists. And even in France, where I sell, you know, a lot of tickets, I could do massive venues, but I'm still not considered like the kind of meat and potatoes mainstream guy.
But I think mainstream is changing. What people perceive as mainstream, because especially younger people, they're getting their music from all over the place, all over the internet.
Absolutely.
And everything.
I mean, for example, North America, right, for me, not Canada, more the United States, no promotion, no radio, nothing. I get synced on tons of TV shows and stuff like that. Fine, but I'm totally not mainstream. Put a tour on sale, 3-day tour just to test it, and it sells out in 52 seconds. And then we double it, and that sells out 8 minutes later. So there you go. My fans in America are like 20-year-olds, like 16 to 30-year-olds, and most of them, and they wait from 6 o'clock in the morning to buy the tickets when they come on at 9, and they made their own decisions for themselves, and they consume what they decide to consume, and so in a weird sort of way, to them, they have a clear feed of information, so maybe to them I am their version of mainstream. But I guess it's a much more kind of like, it's a market that for the niche artist has a lot more kind of playing room and development room.
And it still proves that you're doing something right when the market is there for your music.
When you respect your niche, when you're true to it, the market will be there. And but at the same time it is hard. I mean, it's not easy. You're kind of like promoting a record constantly to try and to put it out there, but you feel like you earn it.
It must take a lot of self-acceptance as well to know that, okay, I'm not going to have number ones everywhere, but this is my market and this is what I do.
Exactly. This is what I do. This is my market. I know that I'm making a really good career doing something I love. And I play festivals, and there's a certain amount of freedom that comes with my version of life. It's like I walk around, I'm free, and then I'll walk on stage and I'll do a festival in front of 25,000 people, and then I'll walk off afterwards and sit in a coffee shop and have a drink,
well, that's
be
the
free.
Thing, though,
and that's the perfect balance. It's just to promote my records, I have to do it in person because I can't rely on tabloid and celebrity and stuff like that.
I think sometimes solo artists get it a little bit tougher because with a band you have a couple of guys you can split up interviews, or you can
see, that's what I always
tag
thought.
Team and thing like that.
I've never been in a band. I mean, but what I always thought was, that's the way it goes. But I was told by Trevor Horn about 5 years ago, and the legendary Trevor Horn, and we were about to work together, then we didn't. One of the things he said was, no one realizes it, but every band is a benevolent dictatorship, and I found that really funny because I have this idea that it's not. It's like everything's easier when you're in a band, Yeah. Maybe it isn't.
Too many people to make decisions.
Perhaps, yeah. Too many people to blame.
That's true too. That's true.
And then too many people to share credit with, because there's always one saying it was his idea. It's very hard. Look around for a band with very good vibes, within the band, and it's really hard. It's really rare. I think you two are probably the only super band that have good vibes within them.
I have to ask you about. You said that this album is about songs about men.
No.
Is it not?
No, it's not.
Then, what some interviews have said that it's about trysts with men and all this kind of stuff.
Well, no, but that's just kind of like tabloid
okay.
kind
because
of.
I was wondering because you said at some stage that you never wanted to label yourself. So does it really matter?
Does it matter?
Yeah.
Well, labeling yourself on your own terms, out of positivity and joy or confidence, is 100% good.
Yeah, I think once you know where you are.
Once you know where you are. But labeling yourself on someone else's terms is just like, whoa, it's just, why? What part of that is human? What part of that is responsible? Like, label yourself on your own terms when you want to. And, my music is universal. It doesn't matter if you, sexuality aside, my music speaks kind of common truths, universal kind of feelings, like is it joy, hate, love, sex,
everybody
humor.
Has these emotions.
Exactly. How could Love You When I'm Drunk as a song, or The Origin of Love, be particularly pigeonholed into a certain sexuality of love? It's just nonsense. But understanding me as a person, as something with facets and contradictions and different angles, a real thing, knowing more about my sexuality on my terms, yeah, sure, that is interesting, that is important. Is it important to some people? Yes, it's massively important to some people. When I did the interview, I said, I'm having this conversation as if I'm talking to the 14-year-old version of myself who didn't know the way out and who didn't know how it would be shook off and what was the way to deal with it. But has it closed some doors? None as far as I can see. Maybe it's more a reflection of how I'm as a person and less about the politics of my sexuality. Has it been ignored by some people? Yeah, of course, because they don't give a shit. Yeah. And they don't need to, because they don't care. Because to me, they're like, oh yeah, well, big surprise, Mika, next. Like, they know my music, they know me, they've always seen it in my lyrics. I've never worn a beard, as I say, and so yeah, so whatever. I think I've always been honest with myself, but I've always insisted on living my life in my own way and at my own pace. And
It's the only way for happiness, to achieve.
It's the only way for sustainable happiness. That's for sure.
Now, I have some other questions here. You had the title track on the soundtrack to Kick-Ass.
Yeah.
Right. If someone was to play you in a movie, who would it be?
Hilary Swank, probably.
Awesome.
Because she's pretty damn cool. As a boy, she's even cooler. Much cooler as a boy than she is as a woman.
Oh, that's class. And right, you've collaborated with loads of people. Pharrell.
Really, the team was actually quite small.
Okay.
It was. I wanted to surround myself with musicians to kind of set an environment and set a mood and a feeling.
Okay.
So there was Nick Littlemore from Empire of the
Yeah.
Sun, and this young kid, Ben Garrett, that I found online.
Okay.
And sent him a message through Facebook, and 2 weeks later he was working in Miami with Pharrell Williams.
Oh, wow.
And now he's
Okay.
signed to Universal Publishing. He's got he's working on a young girl's comeback, not on a very famous girl's comeback at the moment. His life has changed. So there was him, there was Nick Littlemore, there was Greg Wells from the first record, and also Jodie Marr, who discovered me from the first record, who mortgaged her house to pay for my demos. That was my team.
Person to have on your side.
And then people came in and started joining in. And it was really like, leave your ego at the door. Nothing you do is sacred. I write a song with someone like Benny Benassi. He leaves, I take it to someone else and finish it, and it doesn't sound anything like Benny Benassi. It sounds like Mika. It sounds like me. It sounds like me and my collective making music for me. So collaboration's a dirty word because it sounds a little bit slutty. And
everybody kind of does it, but if
you do it right, if you make it within a collective, within a community, and there's this kind of exchange.
There's a hell of a lot more of that, I think, in the music community in mainland Europe than there is here.
I think there is. Also, there's a hell of a lot more sense of community within like classical music, urban music, rock music even. And for some reason, there's this just kind of there's this lack of community in mainstream pop, or in pop in general. But when you think of the 70s, it's Fleetwood Mac, Bee Gees, all that shit was born out of this kind of hotbed of artist-driven pop music, groups making the kind of music that they loved, not 40-year-olds making music for 16-year-olds.
So if you had to put together a supergroup of some of these people,
supergroups are disastrous. I mean, A.R. Rahman, who
too many egos again.
A.R. Rahman, who I'm friends with, did that supergroup recently, and I was just like, without even listening to the music, I was like, it's just not my cup of tea. Because the egos aren't left at the door. It's all about, look at us, aren't we a fabulous combination of brilliant pieces of Lego?
And then everybody wants, if you're a lead guitarist in your own band, you want to be the lead guitarist.
Exactly.
And everyone.
And they all bring, the problem is they bring their idiosyncrasies with them. So when you're a supergroup, you bring your idiosyncrasy with you bring your trademark with you. The whole point of a healthy collaboration is that you leave your trademark at the door, you leave your idiosyncrasies at the door, you leave your track record at the door. You become unrecognizable in a weird sort of way. So for me, it was all about finding these people, saying to them, leave everything that makes you you at the door and just join in and help me create something as if we were a band.
I have one final question for you. This will be, 3 albums now?
This will be my 3rd album.
Alright, so that's how many songs that you have released? Demos, B-sides,
oh
everything?
God, well let's just say
50.
15, 16 times 3 and then an EP, so
about 54.
50 or 60,
Yeah, okay.
And others that I've written for other people under different names.
Oh, different names? What different names do you
Well,
have?
I got outed with one. Her name was Alice, and I was writing songs in Italy for Italian singers under the name Alice, and then there's a few others that I haven't been discovered yet.
Go on. I won't tell anyone.
No, but they're all women's first names.
Oh, I'm going to be looking through all these credits now just to see if I can pick out what's what. But of all the songs you've written, what's your favourite?
It's probably The Origin of Love, which is a new song because it's insane and it makes me smile and it feels fresh. And I'm proud to say that I wrote it.
Where do you think this album, it's the middle of 2012,
Yeah.
this time next year, it's a year on from the album released?
I start in North America, like we said, and then I go to do Europe. Then I come back and I do Asia and South America. Then I do Europe again. Then I do festivals. So essentially, I mean, it's about a year's worth of touring potentially on this record, which kind of fills me with fear and also with excitement. But I'm not going to just do that, because I realize that if you just only tour for a while, then that writer in you dies. You ignore him, and it takes another year to wake him up again. So I've got another artist that I found that I'm producing and writing the songs, and she sounds like Joan Baez. This is a very beautiful voice, and
you're quite a complicated guy, aren't you?
I certainly don't make my career any easier.
There's many different levels to you that you wouldn't, just looking at you wouldn't think. There's so many different levels to what you do.
I mean, I didn't want to make pop music. I wanted to make movie music. If I was too dumb to read music, I still don't know how to
do that.
Well, one day maybe that's where I should end up being. Like when I'm 60, I'd love to be making movie music. That's what I wanted to do, because I couldn't read music or write it. There was no way in hell that I was going to get into movies.
But yeah, there's Pro Tools and stuff now.
But no, but still, you need to be able to write. And so now that I've I found my in. So it's all about writing like a maniac. I'm a songwriter. I'm writing and producing someone else's records, and writing for movies, and maybe even doing a show and writing that. And it's like, this is what I've been doing since I was 11, and I have to keep building it.
Very last question: when are you going to plan a holiday?
I got 6 days. I got 6 days in
It's going to be in about 5 months' time.
It was in Italy. I got 6 days. We were 14 people, and I rented everybody convertible minis.
Oh, deadly!
And I took over for 2 nights. I took over the whole hotel for 2 nights over the course of 6 nights in each different place, and we did this road trip, me and all my friends, around Italy, and we just closed down these small hotels, and it was unbelievable. It was like the Italian job, and a very wine-fueled Italian job.
Thanks for listening. If you'd like to find out more about the Culture Cafe, you can go to my blog, which is nessymon.com, and you can get all the information there. Thanks for listening.